In the darkest days of World War II, when cities were reduced to rubble and food convoys couldn't break through, survival often depended not on weapons, but on ingenuity. In besieged towns from Leningrad to Warsaw, and in occupied regions across Europe and Asia, people dug more than just shelters. They dug life itself. Hidden beneath cellars, church floors and sewer tunnels, ordinary civilians built secret tunnel kitchens, underground networks where food was cooked, shared and rationed in silence. These makeshift kitchens fed the starving when every surface above ground was a target and every wisp of smoke could mean death. The story begins where fire was forbidden and hunger was constant. When cities were encircled and supply lines cut, the first thing authorities banned was open fire. Smoke rising from a chimney revealed human presence, inviting enemy artillery or raids. Families, especially in blockaded cities like Leningrad, faced temperatures below freezing and no safe way to cook. Wood was scarce, electricity unreliable, and even if one had grain or potatoes, the act of boiling water could cost lives. It was in these brutal conditions that the idea of underground kitchens took root. Initially, they were small, just pits dug beneath floorboards where families lit fires using bricks as insulation. But as sieges dragged on, these crude pits evolved into organized tunnel networks with ventilation shafts, shared cook stoves and hidden exits. In Leningrad, accounts describe how families in adjacent apartments knocked holes through basement walls, connecting them to form long corridors. At every 20 meters, a common kitchen chamber was dug, a 3 by 2 meter cavity reinforced with salvaged timber or metal sheets. Clay lined the walls to trap heat, while smoke was vented through horizontal shafts leading to street drains or sewer tunnels. This clever redirection ensured that any smoke mixed with city steam, making it nearly invisible to patrols above. These kitchens ran on scraps, coal dust and human cooperation. What truly defined these tunnel kitchens wasn't just their concealment, it was the efficiency born from desperation. When food was rationed to near starvation levels, every ingredient mattered. People learned to combine rations to stretch calories without wasting fuel. One common wartime recipe involved mixing 1 part ground sawdust with 3 parts flour and boiling it into a thick porridge, a meal that could sustain life when nothing else remained. Fuel was equally precious. The ideal mixture for burning underground was often 1 part coal dust, 2 parts dried peat, and 3 parts shredded wood soaked in animal fat. This blend produced minimal smoke yet high heat, enough to boil water for 30 minutes per handful. Housewives and soldiers refined these ratios by experience, knowing that too much peat suffocated the flame, while too much wood produced visible smoke. In the Warsaw Ghetto, tunnel kitchens operated beneath ruined bakeries and warehouses. Women used broken stovetops, salvaged from rubble, sealing them with clay and connecting them to shared chimneys disguised as ventilation pipes. Even children played a role, fanning embers with folded tin sheets or fetching snow to melt into cooking water. The key principle was communal use. Rather than each family risking detection separately, they pooled their resources. If one person found a handful of barley, another contributed scraps of beet or potato peel. By sharing, they could maintain steady cooking schedules and keep heat confined to fewer chambers. This system, drastically reduced smoke and fuel waste. Though these kitchens existed for survival, they also served a deeper human purpose. In the midst of war, they became the heart of underground life, places where people whispered news, exchanged recipes, and offered each other strength. Even in the worst hunger, someone always managed to bring a pinch of salt, a drop of oil, or a shred of dried fish to flavour the communal pot. In besieged Sevastopol, Soviet engineers repurposed abandoned ammunition tunnels into large communal kitchens. Here, soldiers' families cooked gruel made from army biscuit crumbs, mixed with boiled grass or moss. A single stove often served 50 people, and cooks worked in shifts to keep fires small but continuous. The rhythm was simple. 3 hours of heat, followed by 1 hour of cooling to preserve oxygen underground. Every chamber had one person assigned to ventilation, opening small flaps at measured intervals to let in fresh air without letting out smoke. The ratio of airflow to tunnel size was, absolutely critical. For every cubic metre of tunnel space, about 0.05 cubic metres of fresh air was needed per minute. Too little caused suffocation, but too much risked revealing the smoke. Those who maintained that balance were, honestly, as vital as the cooks themselves. These systems worked because they followed simple physical and chemical principles. The success of the secret kitchens rested on practical understanding of heat, air, and fuel management, concepts still relevant for anyone interested in sustainable cooking or emergency preparedness today. The tunnels themselves acted as natural insulators, trapping heat while keeping smoke low. Moist clay walls condensed water vapour, preventing smoke build-up and cooling the air. Modern survivalists can learn from this. A small underground or semi-enclosed cooking space can maintain heat more efficiently than an open fire. By using a ratio of 1/3 fuel volume to 2/3 airspace and covering the chamber with compacted earth, one can sustain steady heat while conserving resources. Similarly, redirecting smoke through a longer path, ideally 10 times the chamber's width, allows particulates to cool and settle before the exhaust exits. This technique, born in wartime tunnels, remains a foundation of modern rocket stoves and earth ovens used in off-grid living. These kitchens proved that survival depends on community and knowledge, not resources. The secret tunnel kitchens of the Second World War weren't just clever. They were a testament to cooperation. They show that in the worst conditions, people who understood their environment could outlast those who merely had supplies. Knowledge of heat flow, smoke control and nutrition meant the difference between life and death. Even decades later, traces of these tunnel kitchens have been found. Charred clay walls beneath basements, makeshift stoves fused with brick, and vent holes disguised as drains. Each one tells the same story. Where the enemy tried to starve a city, human hands dug back against the dark. The secret tunnel kitchens remind us that the fight for survival is as much about intelligence as it is about strength. They were built quietly, sustained by scraps and shared effort, yet they saved thousands from starvation. They also left behind lessons that still matter: how to use local materials efficiently, how to hide heat and conserve fuel, And most of all, how cooperation turns scarcity into strength. If you value stories of real resilience and forgotten ingenuity, make sure to subscribe to Echoes of Valor and share this episode with others who believe history's greatest lessons are found underground, where survival was built, one quiet meal at a time.